we go. We got the GM. We're going to get the head coach. It's a big deal, guys. I said I am very, very pumped for Sullivan. Some people said, hold back. Don't get too crazy. But guys, what I try to do here is evaluate. And I try to do from an intellectual standpoint. I'm not the most calm guy. Spending money in the markets taught me how emotion gets you screwed, plus life. I've learned to try to use my brain as much as I can. So I try to do evaluations here. But when the evaluation screams to me, this is it, the barbarian side comes out and I get emotional. But I'm telling you guys, 100%. And remember, I told you 100% Flores didn't have dead bodies in the basement. I told you 100% the offensive line inside run game matters. I told you that Connor's playing center and someone made fun of me and a big YouTube guy. I told you after the Broncos game, we weren't on our way. There was a lot of stuff there. I've told you a lot because the brain of me in the evaluation said this is what it is. Now, I'm not always right. I'll admit when I'm wrong. You guys have seen me do that. But Sullivan is going to be a success. But what am I saying? I try to say it a few times in the last podcast. Guys, you had Chris Grier for 10 years. Old players, injured players, F them picks, trading, offensive line doesn't matter. On and on it goes for stupidity. And he had set up pillars to build this thing that were clearly failed, and that's why it was an easy evaluation. It was like building a skyscraper with cotton balls. Now, Sullivan's philosophies are diametrically opposite. If he holds to that philosophy, we will, at the very least, have a tough team, a physical team. We'll have stability. We'll have a foundation. We'll build like, the winning teams build. And we'll have consistency and we'll have toughness and the floor will be much higher. I didn't say Super Bowl. I'm not saying Super Bowl. But for us who haven't had a playoff win in 25 years, haven't been to the conference championship in 92, stability, consistency, sanity, that's our Super Bowl for now. Because if Sullivan follows through, at the very least, at an above average level, you'll have a foundation to hand off to somebody else if he's not the guy, not like Chris Grier, who, basically he's handing us Sullivan a bag of vomit and said, here you go. So we're going to be generally a normal build, a conventional build. And that alone is a win. So that's my point on something. And now if he builds, he drafts well, we could see something very good. But no matter what, and I will get into this thing, the head coach and the GM, it's a marriage. And listen, if Sullivan does his job and he gets a head coach in here and he's not that good, you can pull that guy out and get another head coach, a better one, but you got something here that you can hand off, unlike what's happening now. But this marriage, you could have two great people, great guy, great woman, and they marry, and one's a jackass, and the marriage goes to hell. So this is a critical moment for us. So I've been marinating on this, digging into it, doing my OCD thing. I know I sound Italian because I'm from New York, but I'm German, and I spend a lot of time on this, and I'm not here to tell you who is the best guy. I'm telling you who I think, and I'm going to tell you why. I'll give you my evidence, and you can just use that to form your own evaluation. But clearly, of all the guys there's three guys. One's clear, Harbaugh. Somehow, some way, he wants to come in. You just take him. Now, he's not a perfect HC candidate, guys. He has flaws. All these guys got flaws, but he's got the least. He's got the resume, the pedigree. He's smart and tough. But the perfect candidate for me is like a Sean Payton or an Andy Reid. The perfect candidate is a guy who's tough, smart. He can develop quarterbacks, and he's your OC. Because all these other guys, Stefanski and Clint Kubiak, they're OCs. The rest of them are DCs. So you look at the Lions. The Lions were hot to trot. They lost Ben Johnson and they collapsed. So Harbaugh's not that. So he's not perfect. He's not that Sean Payton or Reed type, but he's close. But I don't think he's going to come here. But if we get him, take him. So that's that. But of the rest of the guys, there's two guys that I like, and I think those are the two guys we should get. And I'll tell you from an intellectual standpoint, from an evaluation standpoint, why I think that. Now, savvy, comprendez-vous? So Stefanski's the hot topic for a lot of people, and I get why. We're tired of the new guys and stuff like that, and there's a lot to that. But Stefanski is not a guy that I want, and I'll tell you why. Remember, we look at it as fans, and you look at, this or that, but coaches are dealing with these alpha athletes that are, on all kinds of stuff because they're in pain. They're on all kinds of stuff for performance, but they're alpha aggressive people. A certain personality type is needed. There's not an exact one, but Stefanski, you watch him talk, go watch him. He's just like, he's got like a little Gase in him. I'm not saying he's as crazy-eyed Gase, but there's something off with his personality. And there's a lot of data points behind that says, hey, look, this guy's not brilliant. He's pretty good. He got 2 coaches a year, but the production's not there. And there's a very clear indication he's not brilliant. But from a personality standpoint, Josh Cribbs put out this whole thing on him. He said, like, when I got to him, I couldn't connect with him on like a football level, and I couldn't connect to him as a person. And you can go through the whole thing, and it was like, look, I like Flores a ton. I thought Flores was the right guy to midway to 2020, and then it blew up. We could talk about why, but you could see Flores is brilliant on defense, but his personality tore the whole thing down. There's all the stuff besides that I know. So you can't have too low of a level. It's better like a Harbaugh that's like, got a bunch of middle grade or above average grade stuff, but he's not brilliant and he doesn't get along with people. And there was a video of him after the last game where he's saying, I never lied to you guys. And then Myles Garrett, who's a Hall of Famer, that's a lot. He just rolled his eyes at him. And when you add Cribbs and that is a huge red flag. But the major red flag is he's an OC. He's got to be able to handle a quarterback. He had Mayfield for 2 years, and he figured the Cleveland Browns haven't had a quarterback since the flood. And he let him walk. And it wasn't his fault. Cleveland's a dysfunctional organization. They thrust Watson on him. And so that's not all his fault. But he has had his carousel and he hasn't been able to really get the thing going. So he's the guy helping him go get these guys. He should be able to develop some guys, and he shouldn't have let Mayfield go. So for me, he's a steady Eddie type with a little bit of a weird personality. Even like Njoku, when he just came out, he said, when he first got here, I didn't think the guy liked me. Like he was, which is not people get like that, but it's just a consistent thread that he is not the guy other than the experience and the 2 coaches of the year. So for me, it's not him. Then there's Saleh. I like Saleh. I think Saleh's a tough guy. People respect him. I think he's done an amazing job with San Fran, who's beat the hell. But there's things over there with the Jets. He doesn't seem to be a great intellect. He's got pretty good charisma. I think he's a decent get. I wouldn't hate it, but I think we could do better. And for me, Saleh is, and I know the Jets are a bad team. I think he's got the head coaching experience, but then he's got to go get the OC. And I don't know. I'm just not really high on him for that. Not like, again, if we got him, I wouldn't hate it, but that's not the guy I'd want. Patrick Graham, he's a little bit of a quiet, weird dude. He's good DC, it seems. We had him. He has some connections, but no. The interesting guy, Clint Kubiak, he's the second OC. I think he's a little bit of, he's got like a little robotic into his very talks like this, but he's got a strong character. He's an offensive guy. He's got the Sam Darnold over there playing well. I like that he commits to the run. I like that he works off the play action. I like that he creates simple reads to get quarterbacks to be successful. You can see that comes because he comes from the Shanahan system. And like I say, he's got Darnold going there, but he's a disciple. Shanahan is the innovator and he's the disciple. So it's like above average. And really the main problem is the wide zone. Now there's a conflict between Sullivan and him, because if you play wide zone, you're trying to get athletic guys, guys that can get on the move. And Sullivan wants the big guys. So if you go get big guys that can move well, these are high picks. It's very difficult. A lot of these guys are the best of the best. You get big guys who aren't so good on the move, or you get guys that are on the move that aren't so big. It's very difficult to get these two guys' concepts to marry. Plus, yeah, we got the talent for the outside zone. That's a plus, but I'm tired of the outside zone. In Seattle, they play in the turf. Rams play dome turf. Arizona is usually good weather. San Fran could be a little bit of ugly weather, but it's grass. It's not always bad. And they do a balanced outside-inside zone. But that outside zone doesn't travel well in bad environments when it's snowing outside and it's raining outside. It's a lot of finesse. I'm not really big on it. I don't think it's physical enough. I liked Sullivan getting the big guys that were going to bash in there, 10, 20% outside zone, a lot of inside zone, some gap, physical inside stuff. So for me, that's why I'm not really high on him. He's got no coaching experience. The good thing is he is the OC, but he's not my guy. Then there's Chris Shula. She's a Shula. What's not to like? He's doing pretty good with the Rams. He doesn't have the coaching experience. Got to get the OC. I think he's a great guy. He's a little bit of a low ego guy, which is not bad. But I want my head coach to have a little snap in him, a little bit of bark in him. And when he doesn't have those all the things I mentioned, and he doesn't have that kind of gravitas to personality, it's not my guy either. Then there's Jesse Minter. Jesse Minter is a pretty good player, coach. He's got a little bit of bark to him. He looks like he's smart. He's got a little strong character, a little, uncertain with his personality. You got to have that gravitas where you're looking at a guy and you're able to dominate him with your personality to a certain extent. I don't think he's got it fully there. Doesn't have the head coaching experience. Got to get the OC. But also his style of play is that bend but don't break, heavy zone defense. I'm not really thrilled with that. So I don't think he's a bad candidate. He's not the guy that I want. And I do think he needs a little bit more marination. Then there's Kelvin Sheppard. I love Kelvin Sheppard. I'd want to play for Kelvin Sheppard. But I do think he played football. This is a guy that they're going to respect. He's going to be able, you ever see him talk to the players? Man, it's like, whoa, I better do this. I'll run through a wall for you. But I do think that he's still got a little too much player in him. He's not like D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans has got it all. He's a player. He can be a tough guy. People bounce around with respect and fear with him. But he's learned to be that calm, cool character. He's really transitioned from player into like coach that fits the head coach model, because you really have to be controlled because everything is riding on you. And I like Kelvin Sheppard. I think he might be able to develop. I'm not crazy about his defense. His heavy man. There's always problems with that when you get into the red zone with, you got your rubs. And I just don't like the heavy man. Demands a lot of corner talent. So I'm not big on him for that. But I think he's going to get there. And I like him personally. Then we got the two guys that I like, Campenella and Halfley. And Campenella is that fiery guy. I like him because he's a linebacker. He's got the intelligence. When you're a linebacker, you got to be intelligent. You got to be tough. And I like what he's done. I love his personality. Some people say he's not smart. The guy's smart. I don't know if he's smart enough to be a head coach. But I love the fire, love the personality. He's the one of the two guys that I like. And what I like most is that when he was with Green Bay, he created great run fits. The run defense improved a ton. And then he went to the Jags, and my man Jason Sarney put up there. They shut the Bills down. And this league is now about stopping the run. And so I do think he's going to have to get the OC, and he's got no coaching experience. I think he'd be better served with maybe a little more time in the tank. But from a schematic standpoint, from a personality standpoint, he's a guy that I like. And I would definitely not complain about him. But really, the guy for me is Halfley. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. Now, Halfley, he's got a little bit of that extra spark of intelligence. He's a guy who kind of changed the way corners cover. He added a little bit of an innovator to the DB position. He understood. He's a teacher. He's a communicator. And I'll put a video below. When you watch him talk, he looks at you. He's got strength of character. I mean, he's not super charismatic, but there's a strength about him. I figure you can get a little bit of the fear. You can get the respect and you can get the likability. And he is a guy with a defense that's going to work on the coverage. He runs a lot of cover one. And I don't like, the one thing I don't like is he likes to disrupt. He likes to shoot on the runs with the one gap. I like the two gap a little bit better. But if you run in cover one, you can bring guys down in the box. You can bring guys close to the box, and that can help take care of that. And I do think that he's got the intelligence, he's got the character, but the huge piece of it is he was the coach of Boston for 3 years, the head coach. And he was like 21 and 22, but that was during the COVID era. His trouble with the ACC, drafting recruiting guys. And they didn't have a lot of talent to start, so the record doesn't bother me as much. But 3 years of college coaching, Jimmy Johnson came out. A lot of guys, if you're a head coach, you're a head coach. You understand the process. He's developed the understanding. And when you watch him talk, you can see the head coach nature. He reminds me of like a D'Amico Ryans or other guys out there. Just the way he approaches things. He comes as a coordinator and he comes as a guy with some toughness. But go watch that video and you can see it's after Parsons went down. And you could see that people are going to connect to him, respect him, and he's got that experience. But there's one other piece. Sullivan, look, you see me on the camera, but you don't hang out with me and know me, so you don't really know who I am. A lot of these guys here, now Campenella, Sullivan knows, and I like that too. But the rest of the guys, he's hearsay and he's interviewing, and it's not the same connection. So Campenella knows Sullivan, and then Halfley knows Sullivan as well. There is an understanding of what ticks underneath the hood. And even Stefanski and these other guys, they've had problems with ownership, and it happens. But these two guys are going to bang heads at certain points, and they've already gone through a lot of that stuff. They got history. They know each other. There's a relationship. And so, to me, if you had Campenella and Halfley, they're like this. But the coaching experience of Halfley is what I like a little bit more. When you watch two guys talk, you can see one guy is going to be a good head coach, Campenella. And maybe here. Both these guys are going to be a roll of the dice. But Halfley just looks like he's got it where he understands what it takes to be that head coach. And as a DC, he's not really a schematic guy. He can impart his scheme to a DC. Now, he's got to get the OC, there's that. But he really fits all the bills for me as far as coaching experience, intelligent, a little bit of an innovator, a little bit of tough guy, communicator, and connection with Sullivan. I'm not saying he's the best or Campenella, any of these guys, but this is why I'm coming to my evaluation. Take it for what it is. We're here to work it together. Let me know in the comments. But those are the two guys that I want. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Curtis saying, be well. Go Fins. Let's get this right, whoever it is. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.